Testing one, two, three. 1, 2, 3. Okay, the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, power, and glory, yours now forever. And your Son, our Lord, our Savior, who beat the devil on the cross, Jesus Christ. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag, United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, you come on up here. Say hi to the people, since you've been bothering me. Go ahead. Um, uh, hold on a second. Okay, chat's online, everything's good. Um, before I get into where I've been and what's going on, just want to go through some very, very important scripture that everybody has to hold on to, especially in the end times that we're currently in now. Okay. This is from Ephesians 1:11. In him also we have obtained an inheritance, being predestined according to the purpose of him who works all things according to the counsel of his will. Okay, so God is not stingy when it comes to bestowing his blessings. Do the best you can, but have the faith that God has your back. That's what it means to be saved. It means you also rely on that. He wants you to rely on him. And believe me, when things seem at their lowest, that's when you need him the most. And he wants you to call upon him the most. He also wants to tell you, share him great things, not only the bad, great things. Okay. And believe me, it's hard to find a nitpick today. I am there. Okay. We're going to get into the trip that I had. First of all, I have to address this. Number one, I only tell you the truth on this channel, the facts. Okay. People out there who have a lot more popularity tell you what you want to hear. I tell you what you need to know, and like Passover, prepare you for what is to come. Okay. Yes. Unfortunately, it does not. I can see ways out of it. I can see things that can be done to prevent, but unfortunately, I need a bigger platform. I need you to share me. I need you to fight with me. Now, recently, YouTube took they took down some content. Well, what triggered it? What triggered the AI? Believe it or not, it was a fundraiser I did for Rick Riley, to the fact that when he loses power, because he lost power, he cannot run his CPAP machine. And his wife was desperately praying for this. And that's how God works. It just put it into my heart. And I had to literally draw it out of him that he was in trouble. And I did this fundraiser for him. We raised the money to buy him a jackery system and everything that would run his CPAP machine for days. And he could recharge it with solar power if he was out of power. So he could live. Now, no, Jim, no, don't. Rumble can be taken down. Odyssey is blockchain. I keep saying this. Odyssey is blockchain. I have things on my channel you could never even put on Rumble. And no, it's not it's not pornographic or anything. It's not, and it's not showing the, what it is showing the truth. Showing the truth of what happened in November Zebra. Showing the truth of what happened recently. Okay, showing the truth. And you can't do that on Rumble. No. Rumble does censor things. And it can be taken down at any moment. Can't take down Odyssey. Odyssey is blockchain. All this content is going to Odyssey. Content that YouTube made me take down. Some 350 videos. Easy. Is that really necessary? I'm telling you the truth. You don't want to believe me? Then fine, Jim. Just leave this channel, never come back. I really don't give a crap. But I'm telling you right now, Odyssey is blockchain. Rumble is not. Rumble is just like another platform. It's another set of servers, and it's not what Odyssey is. Odyssey is blockchain. Blockchain is the future. If you want a future internet, everything is going to have to be double keyed, which means you have a private key and you have a public key. And only you have the private key, and everybody has the public key, which means whether it's visiting a website or whether it's visiting an email or whether it's anything, it'll be encrypted and sent to you, so that this will eliminate all these phishing viruses and everything else, and people trying to mask themselves with their identity and everything else and steal your money. Is it live? It will be if I get 500 followers. I need to get 500 followers. I can't do a live show if I don't have 500 followers. That's not the same for everybody has a different kind of a different thing. But I'm not willing to essentially pay. You're already costing money of my time. I'm not getting paid for this. There's nothing supporting my channels than my Patreon people. Martin Luther King was just one person. George Washington was just one person. My father was just one person. That's not relevant. Everybody is just one person, but yeah, one person can change the entire planet. Ideas form a thought, and a thought that can inspire people and understand that they're not alone and understand what this place really is. That's everything. And understand that there's people who are trying to fight that. There's good and evil. It's been a fight since the dawn, since the beginning. And it's a test. This happens to be an open book test. Here's the book. And all the science points to it. Should I have put slow on today? At any rate, let's get into what's going on. Number one, I traveled um, basically a total of 2,000 miles across this eastern part of our nation. And I saw a lot of things. Oh, I won't get sidetracked. I have to remind. At 4 p.m. today, minor but significant KP7, KP8, um, CME is hitting us. It's going to, that's coronal mass ejection. Oh, by the way, this heat wave that's been worldwide, it's been from three coronal mass ejections that been coming up from the sun, which been dumping tons of energy, tons of particles and everything else into our upper troposphere. Okay, and that's has to go someplace, right? And it's summertime, but that's where the heat wave is coming from. Okay, energy from the sun, right? No, it's not coming from human beings and global. It's the car. Okay. So if it's us, then who melted the last ice age? By the way, who froze it? And who melted and froze it the last 5 times? Am I saying that oil does not pollute? No, I'm not saying oil does. Oil definitely pollutes, and it's way too expensive. Coal should not be used to be burned. Coal should be used as graphite. Okay, we won't even get into the other stuff. But to the system of these greens has nothing to do with green. Their green agenda has nothing to do with renewable energy, cheap and clean. And as AOC says, there is no cheap and clean solution. That is entirely wrong. Okay. Nuclear energy, there is a safe nuclear energy technology called molten salt reactors. It was invented by Alan Weissman back in 1957 and was running a reactor at Oak Ridge for 14 years with the highest temperature levels ever for this smallest type of reactor. Safe. But Nixon gets a call from General Electric in 1973, and they tell him they wanted to cancel the program. So a cousin of mine named Dr. Sidney Ball, okay, I have no idea how many generations it is. At any rate, doesn't matter. Okay, here's something that's 98% efficient, going to work, put us into the next stage, million times more energy than a carbon hydrogen bond. Okay, cancel it. If it wasn't for a gentleman named Kirk Sorensen, who worked for NASA, who actually dug up and found the old documentation of the molten salt reactor and then put it on CD and gave it to, say, 200 CDs to specific key people at noted universities, the thorium technology would have died. Oh, and by the way, the Chinese copied every single bit of it from him and more, and have over 300 scientists working on the first one of their kind. Now, what's the difference between China and the United States? Tell you the difference. The United States is diversified. We have many different types of people. It's one of the reasons why we got to the moon first. Okay. Because we have out of the box thinking. We're free to make outlandish ideas and outlandish mistakes because nobody shuts out that down that outlandish speech. And sometimes that speech results in, for example, the multi-layer circuit board, which is the key to all the technology that you're now using. And we needed that technology. That technology enabled the 5 AG5 computers to be built, which were only the size of a Samsonite briefcase and only required the amount of power it would take to run a coffee pot, even less, maybe 750 watts, to do extremely complicated calculations. But do it without crashing ever and do it reliably. Without that system, you would not have any of the technology you see before you. That was the premise. To get that type of computer system, you needed to get people to the moon, you needed 10,000 pounds of fuel and oxidizer for every 1 pound you wanted to get to the moon. That's the premise. Where did we go wrong? We ran wrong by canceling the Mars agenda and moon space platforms and everything else. Why? Why did we do that? Well, if we proceeded to do that, you would have found that we could not do it with silicon based computers. We could not do it with fuel cells that are based the way they are. You needed to get at least two of the holy grails: room temperature superconductivity and photon computers. I put it to you, they got one in 1987. Dr. Wong won the Nobel Prize for, but doesn't matter because Lucid shelved it. The second one would have happened the same year. IBM probably would have got it. Would change everything. Okay, would actually make electric vehicles not only practical. You'd see electric planes. You'd see everything. Why? Because then you would have super capacitors. Okay, not the supercapacitors that other people are saying are supercapacitor. No, a real true supercapacitor is made out of superconducting material to which that literally it could capture the full power of a lightning strike. I'm not kidding. You'd have motors that are 100% efficient. You'd be able to transfer the power from one place to another 100% efficient. You'd be able to charge your said car or platform within 5 minutes because your fuel tank would be a 25-pound supercapacitor. And that capacitor would be charged with as much energy as it would take your vehicle to go 500 miles. Not only this, they would have offered shops and other platforms to which a kit, $5,000, $6,000 to convert your internal combustion engine, car, vehicle, whatever, to a EV system. Why? Not because it's more expensive like they are trying to do now. No, because it would be so much cheaper. Because a dollar would get you 500 miles. So you'd want that. And it would change everything. See, necessity is the mother of invention. You would never have CDs as they are today without the need to protect our astronauts from two things: micrometeorites, micrometeorites, and the sun. So they came up with polycarbonate, but they also needed something to line the polycarbonate, and that was a few atoms, literally 3 to 4 atoms worth of gold, layered onto there with a vacuum flash process. That's the same process that makes your CDs. Okay. And then Phillips in 1971 said, "Hey, I wonder if we can poke and put holes in this to store data in with a laser beam and turn it into media." That technology came out for everybody to listen to and everything else in 1982. That's what CDs were. DVDs followed, and that was 1987. Um, it doesn't. Marissa Teresa. Today it does. It wouldn't with a superconductivity, room temperature. The reason why it gets fried, you said it right here, fried. V equals IR. The R is resistance. With a superconductor, that is zero. You have nothing. If you don't have resistance, you do not have any heat. You have infinite, essentially, amps and voltage that you can transmit. There is nothing. So there's no heat that's generated. That's why I said that you can literally capture a total lightning bolt. But you can harness that lightning bolt as energy. Okay. No, it's more than 15K for batteries. It's more than that. See, there's government subsidies, so you're not even seeing the real true cost, and especially to the environment. Mining lithium, they do this in third world countries, is extremely dirty in all kinds of ways to the environment. First of all, most of it is strip mined, and then they go through and a whole. But that's not even it. Lithium isn't even the worst one. Cobalt and nickel. Wow. Okay. Bad. Okay. So they're not counting that energy. And it's very difficult to put a watt meter on all that energy that goes into making those elements and then shipping them and everything and building the battery. Now, do I want that energy on my boat? I don't know. To be honest with you, I'm planning on building a solar arch. Yes, putting 300 watt solar panels on the arch. I'm building an aluminum arch on my boat. Okay, but as far as getting rid of my AGMs, um, I'm if I get any, if I do anything, it'll probably be to replace the 8D and put in lithium iron and maybe in there, but I don't know if it's good. I might not do it. Okay, I might do it later on with one of them, but not both of them. And I might, and what I'm planning on doing is building a circuit with a bunch of heavy power SCRs, which is and a MOSFET. That's a type of circuit to regulate the output of the one to the other. And I'll explain to you this why. Lithium has advantages to which that it doesn't care about cycling every single day and being worked, but it wants to stay between 20 and 80%. However, it does care about very high amp loads at once, and if you let it, it'll take a lot of high amp energy at once, and you'll have very bad effects. Versus lead is extremely durable if you take care of it, if you manage it. So basically, what would happen is my system that I was designing, I would have the lithium there to manage the everyday loads and everything else. But the big AGMs that I have, the 8D and the 4D, to pick up very big loads coming in and very big charging events coming in. Um, so but you need to have something that would coordinate that and handle that. And unfortunately, you kind of need. I wouldn't put it as a computer, but it's basically an intelligence circuit. So, and that's what you'd have to do. I mean, I could program a PAL chip and a small 8-bit processor, but that's much too complicated. And I want to make this as durable as possible. That's what I'm thinking about. Really big power transistors, things like this, that would handle any kind of stuff. But I'm getting off the subject. The point is that you don't want to put the cart before the horse. They're putting the cart before the horse. They're telling you electric vehicles all the way. Meanwhile, let's talk about reality. The Ford F-150 Lightning uses basically 1% of its energy for every mile it goes, towing a 6,000-pound trailer. That's unacceptable. You cannot have you know, that's why the F-150, there's over a million and a half sold a year, because if you've been across this country, you'll see that there's huge stretches of area, and 100 miles is nothing to drive that in a day. Nothing. There's people who drive 150, 200 miles a day. Okay. And I was driving that on my trip. Oh gosh, I was driving about 300, 400 miles a day. And yeah, so these EVs wouldn't have worked at all. And something else I noticed with the EVs, the one, charging stations were all backed up. Number two, they're expensive. I was talking to a guy, and it's really not any cheaper than gas and some of these fast chargers. That's how much money it costs. And the time. Guy's been there for an hour and a half just to get a 50% charge. It's ridiculous. It only takes me maybe 5 minutes to fill up. And this time we took my wife's Mercedes Benz, an A220. Believe it or not, it got like 47 miles to the gallon. It was amazing. Um, yeah, I'm having work done to my van, so it's up at my Ford place in Bennington. At any rate, um, they were out of death fuel. My wife likes the Love's bathrooms. We were stopping, and every single place I went to, they were out of diesel exhaust fluid, and there were a lot of trucks that was basically sitting there waiting for it. This is intentional. Okay. Um, just like the food places that went up, it's intentional. Just like everything else, it's intentional. The prices of fuel, we get premium, so anywhere between 474, 519, 520. But going from my house to my son's house in Pensacola, we burned 23 gallons of fuel. Um, and we burned a little bit more coming back because we were stuck in traffic. The car does not. It does good. I mean, if you stop, it shuts the engine, but it still burns more fuel when you're not moving. I'm not stubborn. I try to do things on Rumble. Okay, it's not the panacea you think. Um, I knew that it could have the same problems as other things. So that's why I went to it used to be called Library. And 5 years ago, I and a bunch of other people, we went into blockchain, and we found it to be extremely reliable. But the big thing is that the only way to take it out is to take the internet down. Yes. Jim Foreman, yes. Okay. Again, um, there is no censorship on Odyssey. Okay. Well, I'm sure not the kind of censorship that I'm going to hit with. The reason, by the way, that um, Fundathon was taken down was because of the fact in the beginning there was a live speech going on with President Trump, and he was talking about the fact that there was things that he said about the election. Specifically, he was raising other questions about, for example, Hunter Biden and other types of things which were blocked. And Truth Social, they have censored people. Yeah. I believe in a platform where nobody gets censored, including speech I do not agree with. But if you believe in the First Amendment and you've taken an oath to defend the Constitution, which I have, then you understand that everybody has the right to speak. And just because I don't agree with that speech does not mean that they don't have the right to say it. It means that I have the right to argue it with facts, just like these people turn around and say, well, the reason why the earth's getting warmer is because we're burning fossil fuels. No, the partial pressure of CO2, depending on what you want, we'll be generous. We'll say it's 480 parts per million. When the Earth was frozen at the equator, okay, the whole planet was a big ice ball. The partial pressure of CO2 was 10,000 parts per million. Yeah. There have been many times on this planet to which that there was no ice. No ice at all. The fact is that it had to be at least 5 degrees warmer than it is now worldwide to melt the last ice age, which went down all the way down to South Carolina. And that was the last one. They had other ice ages before that, went down to Mexico. Okay. One volcano, Tonga, for example, when Tonga erupted, in 10 minutes, parts of Tonga, the island, was over 10 miles high. In 48 hours, that volcanic eruption put out more CO2 and more sulfur dioxide than the whole United States has done in 10 years. Am I saying that we should be doing this? No. What am I saying? We should have in 1974 done a same moon project, talking about the same energies and drive and publicity, to develop a room temperature superconductor. Under Trump, he signed off on 2 grants, one for Stanford and the other one for MIT, and they made tremendous strides in this to where that they got a superconductor, the temperature all the way up to dry ice. The temperature that CO2 sublimates, which is a lot warmer than the prior record, which was liquid nitrogen or liquid air. They were close. The first day of this administration, which was a Charlie Oscar Utah Paul, they canceled it. Why would you cancel it? If you're for green energy, if you're for EV, What else did they cancel? Oh, what? The Department of Energy canceled the FLIBE contract. Any further work into molten salted reactors. This is like Obama. In 2012, Obama made it illegal to work on that type of stuff, but yet shipped all the technology with his blessings for Westinghouse to build China a reactor. You have an administration now which is doing everything in their power to put the Charlie Paul ahead of everything, including you. And nobody talks about Hunter Biden. Nobody talks about it. If Donald Trump Jr. did anything, one item, could you just imagine if you saw a picture of Donald Trump Jr. smoking a crack pipe? Would this information getting out and all the other stuff before the election? This was back in September 2016, getting out and being pushed and shown, unlike being told it was just Russian propaganda and fake, just like the other stuff. You think that would have made a difference? They've been quoted where they wanted the gas prices to be at $10 a gallon. I'll tell you something else. I was wrong. I was wrong about China. How was I wrong? I said to you that China is going to go into Taiwan by the end of the summer. Oh boy, is I wrong. You ready? It looks like they're going to go into Guam. And we're just going to stand there looking at them. Oh, they've already said we got Taiwan. Just a matter of time. How much has the water risen? Let me explain something to you, okay, Jim. When the planet goes and does its flip, you will see the Earth rotate by basically 45 degrees, which will be like a 90-degree shift. The entire Atlantic Ocean will come up to greet Florida and a lot of coastal cities in this movement because there's inertia. Okay. The new equator will be going over Antarctica and going over Greenland. That's the new equator. Okay, so the planet will still be going around and around, but the new equator. But that, where will the poles be? This whole thing is covered. It's on my Odyssey page, but also um, Suspicious Observers has a whole series of it. Okay, is this going to happen now? No, it's probably going to be about 25 to 50 years. What's going to happen now? Oh, we're going to get hit with a Carrington event. That's what we're going to happen now. Okay, so in the next 4 to 5 years, we're going to get hit with a solar storm that's going to be the size of 100,000 Earths. We've already seen these come off the sun, but miss us. We're in the shooting gallery now. The solar activity is, it's not at its peak yet. Oh no, it's got another 5 years before it's at its peak. So there's no question we're going to get hit up with this. Okay. Biologically, is it going to affect you? No. Unless you have a pacemaker, I guess. But it will affect your way of life because the substations and other systems, I did another video on this, you can check on Ozzy, will be gone. And it will take at least 2 to 5 years to replace them. I'm telling you right now, the government says your electricity will be out for 2 years. No. I would say the electricity is going to be out for 3 to 5 years minimally. How are you going to survive when You have no refrigeration. You have no modern means of transportation. You have no modern means of getting food. You have nothing. No prescriptions, no air conditioning, no water, no sanitation. What are you going to do? These are realities. This the number one threat to the planet is the sun, bar none. The number two threat to the planet is near Earth objects. The number three threat is volcanism. These are not ifs. None of them are ifs. These three things are not ifs. They are when. When they occur. Not if. When. Wouldn't it be nice to know that we have leaders in the world who recognize that, hey, these guys, they signed a letter, they sent it to us. Wow, this seems pretty serious. This, wow, this, oh, whoa, 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 whoa. This is what should have happened with our letter that we sent to Trump. It should have been put first and foremost, and he should have done a speech at the United Nations because it involves the entire planet. And working on this problem, setting up a manufacturing station in orbit and setting up hundreds of thousands of these satellites like little umbrellas that open up at a drop of a dime to them at the Lagrange 1 spot to block the CME from happening. Harnessing Yellowstone and other super volcanoes to prevent them not only from going off, but actually using them for both mineral and energy wealth. There is a magma chamber the size of Texas underneath Yellowstone. Just think of all that heat in one place that can be used. Literally would be the Hoover Dam of the 2200s. And with that power and also lifters, you could desalinate the Pacific Ocean on cities all the way up and down the coast, providing gobs and gobs and gobs, literally setting up pumps and going the other way with the pipes that we have now, going the other way to fix the drought in the desert, which reoccurs again and again. They're acting like this is, oh my God, it's Armageddon. It's never happened before. Of course, it's happened before. Go to the Grand Canyon, and geologically has a 2.5 billion year record that shows that this is what happens in the desert, out in the Southwest. What did we do? We thought we could harness it and put agriculture and use up all this water like crazy for grass, green lawns, and golf courses and everything else. And then they say, I think from the CME, a transformer, because when that explosion occurred, they were getting first hit with another CME that was sent out from the sun that exact moment. Can I swear to you on a stack of on a Bible here that that's what it is? No, I can't. I wasn't there, but I would definitely say that if a transformer line is overloaded, then you can have an instant disconnection, which then can blow something a generator. But the reality is that our electrical system can be taken out with a yada yada and a 20-foot chain from any hardware store, any Home Depot, Lowe's, Ace, whatever. Bob, shh. They all know this. It's on the internet. It's published. What's protecting our wonderful big substations? Big ones. Oh, an 8-foot barbed wire fence. What prevents this guy from taking his cell phone with his buddies in a coordinated effort and throwing all these chains at once over a line and taking out, for example, the whole power of New York City and blowing up 4 substations to do it, which take months to replace, by the way, if we have them. Why am I mad? Um, Let me ask you a question. Would you be agitated if hundreds of hours of your work was deleted? Just saying. And nobody did anything. Nobody said anything. So I'm trying to and I'm telling you the truth. I'm telling you what's really going on. I'm telling you what's really happening. What you have is basically a tyrannical overthrow of our government, of our way of life. And it's being done from the inside. Do you think China and Russia and any of our enemies are, I guess they're quaking and they're chilling with the new recruitment commercials. Have you seen the new recruitment commercials about how woke the army is and how to tell your recruiter and the proper pronoun to address you with? Or Mills, the Secretary of the Navy, basically changing the logistics throughout the Navy so where that now they have to make sure that they have the proper meds on hand, just as vital as ammunition and food. Oh no, 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 no. Not medications like to combat malaria or gunshot wounds or other types of things. Oh no, 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 no. No, 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 no. To take Joey and make Joey a Jane, and to take Jane and make Jane a Harry. Of course, if you're in a group of Marines and you're pinned down by some enemy 300 clicks, 300 meters away, for example, and nobody can get to you for, say, 2 weeks, you want that C 130 to come in and drop part of its 45-pound contingent. You got to drop these meds. These people need to stay on their hormone stuff. It's important because not ammo. Oh no, not food. No, perish the thought. And what does that do to morale? I can tell you what it does. It makes our top people quit because they see all kinds of prejudice where there wasn't. Our military used to be the most unprejudiced place on the entire US of A, going all the way back to 1950 when my father roomed with the first African American because Charlie was my father's wingman. And this CAG officer said, I want all wingmen to room together. So when I was a kid, oh, I was called an N lover before it was even fashionable. And I saw true prejudice. The reverse prejudice that I'm seeing today done with my sons because they're white. They might as well be a black man in 1965. And I know what it's like to be a black man in 1960. Not because I was a black man, because I used to hang out with black men in 1965 with my father. It was wrong then. It is wrong now. I don't care who is sitting in that cockpit. I really don't care. I don't care if they're purple and paisley and have all kinds of whatever. I really don't care. If they are the best person or entity or thing to fly that aircraft, they've gotten the most points and the most whatever. Man, that's who I want in there flying with a B 57 nuclear bomb underneath that plane. Because I want the best person who has the best record, who has the smartest record to be handling a 4 kiloton device or landing on a ship fully armed because they didn't deploy. Where if they make a mistake and they don't put the head through a fictitious 4 foot window that at 130 knots, that's what you got to do, by the way. A lot of skill to do that. And a pitching deck and everything else. You got to do. Okay. They can kill people. Not only the 200 people that are on deck. Oh no. They could take out a whole ship. That's $13 billion and some 6,000 souls if they F up. So do I care that a flight thing doesn't look like a poster thing? I don't care what the poster looks like. All I care is that the best people are there in that cockpit. Why? Because I pay my taxes. What's the thought of my I want the military to be the most badass, most threatening, most dangerous military on the planet. Why do I want that? Because if it's that way, then nobody wants to pick a fight. So basically, that's peace. And what does that mean? That means constructive stuff. We can do constructive things because if you don't, well, we'll put you in, you will annihilate you. That's what it means. Now, what did China just do? What does China have? China just released another carrier with electromagnetic rails for launching their aircraft. And it's possible that they have electromagnetic kinetic weapons on that same ship. They have two other carriers, which are 1,400 feet long, which are on dry docks, which have nuclear reactors, which will be out by next year. Right now, their Navy is bigger than ours. They have a lot of weapons that we don't have. We did. But Mr. Wonderful Biden decided to cancel those programs on day one. Had Trump's name on it, so cancel it. And you're gonna and these others like Dave and these other and extra. We were still in control, and yeah, President Trump is really he needs to wake people up. That's why he's doing this. To see it. No, he counted on people to fight these demons and everything else, and they failed. They took their bribes and whatever, and they failed. I was wrong about Pence. I wasn't wrong about Kelly. I was wrong about Mattis. I will tell you that I was, I was, but you know what? What it does show, very few people are unincorruptible, especially if they're not truly saved. And I say truly saved. Only being truly saved with the Holy Spirit and Jesus Christ as your advocate can you stand up to this kind of stuff. Because how did Jesus teach us to fight these demons? Call upon him. It's not your fight. It's not your fight. I'm afraid of no man or beast. Why? Why am I? Because Jesus is going to come and he's going to handle that asswipe for me. Because he knows I don't. No. No, I got a king. And his king, he commands you. And by the way, he's gonna, yeah. And that's what you have to do. Did they do this? They didn't do it. You got people who couldn't even put their hand on a Bible. What does that tell you? Let's see. Jennifer Ward said yes. Let's go, Brandon. Unfortunately, that's our president, and we are beyond weak now. The entire enemy list is infiltrating on every front, and nothing is happening to them. So, not only is crime through the roof. Oh, by the way, if you have an EV car and you're on the New Jersey Turnpike, and well, it's nighttime. It's late at night. Late at night. There are bad people who know this. You got to be there for an hour and a half. They know this. So what do you think they do? They're robbing you, and if they like your car, they're stealing it. But that doesn't get on there. No, it doesn't get on there. No. Yeah, uh, because nothing happens to them. No. Yeah, but what do you care? It was leased. Oh yeah, so you only can afford something so expensive as the lease it. Yeah, fish pump me, brother. Jim, I'll give you a hug. Okay, a hug. Not this fist thumping crap. Okay, ridiculous. If you want a fist bump, I'll fist bump you too. But I'm just saying, if you're breathing the same air, you're going with an R8 virus. With an R8 virus, people have no idea what that means. You're gonna be contaminated with it. You're gonna get it. Okay. What does it mean? Scientific fact. If you have a 20 by 20 room and there are 10 people in the room and one person has this virus, 8 people are going to walk out with it. Now, that doesn't mean people are going to get it because some people like myself, I really believe this because I did get it. We have immunity to it. Okay. Or we'll get it again, but we'll, you know, f- fight it off. Okay. When I had it, okay. Was it a bad sore? I'm not going to say it wasn't a bad sore throat. It was a bad sore throat. Was it the worst sore throat I ever had? No, it wasn't the worst. Was the first time I did ever lose my sense of smell and taste. That I, I noticed things like that. Okay, and when it came back, my sense of smell, coffee smelled like poop and really weird crap. But I was, now, did I ever smoke in my life? No, but I do have hypertension. Okay, is it controlled? Yes. Do I walk every day? Yes. Am I fat? Yes. I need to lose 100 pounds. I'm not saying I'm not fat. I'm fat. Okay. I'm sorry. I like food. I mean, I only got drunk once in my whole life. That's my only vice, really, is stupid food. And it's not like junk food. I don't sit here and eat candy and drink soda. No. But you put me in front of a big steak or ribs and so I mean, I could teach how to make all these things. I mean, last weekend when we came home, my wife and I, we on the Traeger, we cooked a turkey all day. We smoked a turkey all day. Oh, it came out so good. Now, turkey is good for you, okay? But I mean, I have to stop. I mean, I only eat that much at a time, a fistful. And but I could have sat there and ate a whole side of white meat and dark meat, a leg, and yeah, it was delish. So it's not like I was, but I'm not gonna. So yeah, freshwater. Yeah, and again, on on the um on the freshwater situation. Okay, that's the reason why you need to go with nuclear energy. One of the byproducts, believe it or not, of all the heat that's generated by the two nuclear reactors on the Nimitz thing called Vincent. I happen to know this ship, my son's flagship, is the heat. And what they do with that excess heat is they use it as a distillation system to not only produce water for the crew and everything else, but water for the cooling of the actual unit, and water for the catapults, and water for, yeah, all these other things. Okay. And all those other systems use that water to generate high pressure steam, 3,000 psi steam, by the way. Can you imagine that? I mean, that is so powerful. That's like if there was even a pinhole in the pipe, it would cut steel. Comes out so fast. Um, and yeah, well, and one of the reasons why the new class, the Ford class, has gone with electromagnetic catapults is due to the fact that they want to get away from what's known as called a cold shot. A cold shot is responsible for more fatalities and more loss of aircraft than anything else in the Navy. What that is that on these launches, it doesn't launch it. It kind of gives like a half-assed launch. And if these guys don't get out of there like immediately, yeah, it's bad. Fukushima Beach stuff in here. Yeah, and the 680 to 900 tons of contaminated water are dumped daily in the Pacific since March of 2011, and they don't want to talk about it. It's, oh, yeah. Mm. I'm not talking about that type of nuclear reactor, by the way. Okay, that's 1947 technology. Okay, I'm talking 10 years later, molten salt technology, which is no different than your table salt. It's just that it's a lithium um, um, fluoride. Okay, not fluoride. Okay, and so it's very stable, and it has 1,000 Celsius range of heat. And the thing is that most of those reactors, their sweet spot would be about 750 degrees Celsius. And at 750 degrees Celsius, you can do a lot of neat things. Okay, not to mention generate power with carbon dioxide turbines, which means you'd be using liquid carbon dioxide and then the heating of that and the carbon cycle, and that's it's a fraction of it's a fraction of size. First of all, the turbine would only be the size of the desk that's next to me, and second of all, the power ratio transfer is so much higher. Um, and then with the other heat, you could do all kinds of things. Dimethyl ether comes to mind, which is would be a direct substitute for diesel. Methyl ethyl hydroxate, which would be another substitute for gasoline. I mean, you have $15 trillion worth of hardware out there for that run on the petroleum product. So it'd be stupid not to make a stepping stone or some kind of system to not throw that stuff away, but come up with a cheaper substitute than the petroleum industry we have today. Okay, so and it would take at least 5 to 6 years to get these systems online. So to make that transition to these new things is a no brainer. But the big thing again, I'd put almost every research I had because you see, let me just explain how unbelievable a room temperature superconductor would be. That type of technology would be it would change everything. It would change everything. It'd be like going to from vacuum tubes to um it'd be like going from technology wise 1951 technology to 1997. That's how big of a leap it would be, and more really, because it would take more for other people to realize everything from production to food gathering to it would change everything. It really would. Um, a substrate of that actually of the graphene thing could be used, for example, for desalination, which means just as easily as you pour water through a Brita filter, you could actually pour water through a same type of filter, but it would be made out of this new graphene composite that would actually desalinate the water just as easy as you filter water through a filter. I mean, the implications to environments throughout the world would change literally overnight. Um, overnight. I mean, it would just change everything overnight. And then you have a zero loss in power transmission everywhere. Okay, so for example, if they did harness Yellowstone, where they have literally, yeah, I mean, you couldn't quantify it with a watt thing. Oh, here's the state of Texas, but it's a big magma pool. I mean, do you know how big the state of Texas is? And we're going to harness this for heat, and it's 5,000 degrees. I mean, the amount of power that you could harness again with the CO2 type turbines, and then combine that with superconductivity. So now you're generating power with these turbines at 100% efficiency, and then you're transmitting it with no loss. I mean, it's beyond boggle the mind. Okay, it would change everything. I mean, everything. It would be real freedom because 23% of everything, of all the cost of any product anywhere, is energy. So whatever the energy component was of that product, it would be nullified essentially. Okay. And that doesn't even count changing the existing generators that you have up in Niagara, for example, at other dams throughout the country, at other power plants. I mean, wow. Okay, it would be pretty incredible. And I'll tell you something else. I mean, all these shops. Um, I would definitely. I mean, a person could come to mind and make a lot of money with these to make a replacement EV system. You could do this with a supercapacitor that would literally, for example, go and put it in my truck for $5,000, and it would put out more torque. It would be not only clean, but again, I could go 500 miles on a dollar of energy. I mean, who wouldn't want that? I mean, I love my diesel. I mean, I love the way my diesel sounds or anything else, and I could run on peanut oil. But you ready for this? I'm getting right ready. I'm getting it. Building a tank and everything. I'm getting ready for $10 diesel, which means I'm no longer going to be buying diesel. I'm going to be running my van on peanut oil. Yeah, which actually diesels were designed initially to run on. Why? Because I'm not spending $10 a gallon for diesel. I don't, it would mean I have to spend $7 a gallon for peanut oil, and I'm looking into making my own biodiesel from waste product that I could get a lot less. But still, with that, if you want to make biodiesel, you have to have a whole big thing, and you need, a regular supply of methanol. That's just more. So I'm looking for something where I would not have to worry about glycerin and all those other. So peanut oil, fresh virgin peanut oil I would just I'd be able to load my tank right up and just, you know, just run it. You have other talents, Jim. Um, Other talents, I'm sure. But yeah, I mean, you're not gonna believe this, but I forget his name, but I think it's Randolph Diesel. That was the guy's name who invented the diesel engine. I mean, that's what he invented it for. He invented it for farmers because all these farmers were planting peanuts, and they were planting the peanuts to replenish nitrogen into the soil. So they had all these peanuts. Well, here's this guy. He comes along with this tractor engine, and it runs on the peanut oil that those peanuts have. So you basically have a self-sufficient farm. Doesn't But the Rockefellers got news. Oh no, can't do that. So they now. Meanwhile, you ready for this? I could put a 68-gallon peanut oil tank in my van. So what? I'm talking about in the back bed to where it's open to the environment. At least the vent part is to the van, right? Couldn't do that with diesel. It would violate Department of Transportation. Can I do it with peanut oil? Sure. It's totally non. It's non. It's technically non-flammable. It's just peanut oil. I mean, what a smoke point's like 450 or something like that. Oh yeah. Well, obviously, you'd have to worry about bugs and things. But if it's kept in the right thing and you put in a bio, I do that on a boat. I put a bios. I actually do that in all my diesel stuff. I put a biocide in every time I fill up. The reason why is because the bottom of the tank you'll collect water and things like this, and if you don't do that, algae can actually grow in there because they'll feed the algae. They call it algae, but it's a micro thing that'll feed off the diesel, okay? And it'll clog up everything, clog up pumps, filters, you name it. So every tank, I always put it's about I guess it's about 100 mils of this stuff. And sometimes on systems like that big diesel generator I have outside, I'll put more in to make sure that you know um, the fuel that's in there doesn't go bad. Pinto, I don't think so. Although I've seen some incredible EV conversions of classic cars, which for those purposes, I'm actually for. I have no problem with it because first of all, you only take them out for the weekend, and and the batteries only give the vehicle like 50 miles of range and stuff like this, and you can't even get the gas that those things run on. I mean, some of those cars go back 150, 100 years old. So yeah, Paul Paul Decker had a Pinto, and you could literally at different spots as you went around the car, you could see through it. I have a story. I was on Long Island Expressway and hit a bump, and next thing I know, I'm literally on all fours trying to stop, and I'm taking my weight off the seat because the seat was bouncing on the concrete of the road. There was so much rust. That seat fell through the floor. The floorboards went. And I'm like, it's just a lot lighter than so. Yeah, yeah, and it would burn so much oil. He used to keep a case of oil in the back. Every time he filled up the tank, he had to put in 2 quarts of oil, and you could always know where he went because he would literally leave a smoke trail that was like fogging from mosquitoes. Yeah, he bought a fully packaged World War II vintage Jeep, and it was packed in Cosmoline, and I and my friend helped him put it together, and it was amazing. It was even though it was that old, everything, all the parts were packed in this grease brown stuff that you had to clean apart and put it back together again. And when we put and it would only it would only go to, I mean, it would only go to like 40 miles an hour. I only had 3 gears. And the oil filter was pretty cool. It used the school's um the school's toilet paper wasn't exactly known for its softness. It literally, I don't know how, but our high school's toilet paper, the roll, fit perfectly in this glass canister that they had as an oil filter. And I'll tell you, it really did a good job. It filtered the oil, and had a single the carburetor. I think the carburetor on my Sears tractor was bigger. The carburetor on this thing was only like this big. But I'll tell you, he got a little plow for it and the whole canvas thing, and he was making money plowing people's driveways, during the snow time and other things. And yeah, he had the vintage gas cans on the back and everything, and a shovel. And yeah, he did a really top notch job. Yeah. Youth, youth. God, yeah. I think it didn't cost him that much. It was all incredibly labor intensive, and because I had access to a gas station, that was my uncle's gas station. So we were to go down there and give some money to my use the parts cleaner, things like this. So he threw them over. Yeah. Um, a lot of those ended up being cracked. A lot of people were getting carbon monoxide reporting poisoning. In 1978, when I started flying solo, um, there was a there was an AD for the same cracked problem with the Avco-Lycoming engine that's in the Cessna 152s. So they had, instead of fixing it, yeah, they wire wrapped the heat off, except for um, the carburetor heat, which was, who cares? So you're flying in this plane, and it was so cold that year. I mean, it was so cold that there were times when I was flying over the Long Island Sound, and the Long Island Sound was frozen. It was really, I mean, the South Bay often would freeze, but the Sound was frozen. And yeah, so I'm flying with gloves. I mean, it's just about as bad as an open cockpit without being an open cockpit. But yeah, matter of fact, it was 2 months after my father died. I put my father in the ground. That's when I had my engine out, and I was doing touch and goes on 33 right at MacArthur, and that's when I had my engine out. And that was an oil return line that went. Oh, that was a real pucker moment. Yeah. So let me know if you ever want to hear about that story. I think I might have. They might have taken it. I might have taken it down. So who knows? Because of other things that were inappropriate, so called community guidelines. It doesn't meet our community guidelines. I don't preach hate on this channel. I preach um, love, and I preach warning, and I preach we can get it done if we work together. Okay, and there won't be any want. If I always talk about the holy grail of tech, but if you get it, there won't be any of this crime and any stuff anymore, because it won't be worth it for them to do it, because they'd be basically Okay, you can stay home, we'll give you whatever you want, or you can go and do these great things. I mean, it'll literally be like that type of society. But now you have literally is I think it's CNBC, and I saw something extremely disturbing. I saw reporters encouraging and rivaling in the fact that these two young girls just sterilized themselves. Wow. I mean, like, wow. And, I mean, call me sexist, but as a woman, you have such a gift of being able to bring new life onto this planet, and they nullified that. I can't even comprehend it. I can't even comprehend that. I mean, the greatest thing in the world is getting a hug from your child. As I mean, getting hugged from my sons for any of their major achievements, you can't even put a price tag on that. You just can't. You can't. Even today, getting a call from them, um, it's like it makes my whole day. And then speaking with my grandkids and having my grandson grab my hand and take me in to show me his whatever creation he's done. Ah, it's just, I just can't explain that. That's just unbelievable. And these people just sterilize themselves. Oh my god. Have you guys seen that? Did you guys see this? Oh, just horrible. Just beyond horrible. You saw it. Oh, it's just like my sister-in-law, you know. Um, I just see people that cut their nose off to spite their face. And I have no words. Or these other ones saying, "Well, the population is too much." I said in 2017 that we're no longer the majority in this country, or even we've been a minority in the world for uh, I don't know. I would say 50, 60 years, maybe more. And but they don't want to speak the truth. I remember when um, what's his name? He was a reporter for a major CBS news thing, and he said the Latino, and this is 2017. The Latinos on the new majority minority. I'm like, I didn't. This guy doesn't understand math or anything else, but there's no such thing as a major. You mean they're the new majority in this country? That's what you meant to say, but you couldn't say that because they don't want to leave their minority status. Is that what you're saying? Yes, we are a minority. Us, you, me, we're a minority. We've been a minority since 2017. So what? Guidestones. I have no idea what happened to them. I do know one thing. I do know that they were covered by like a lot of cameras, and how come we can't see the footage? So was it a false flag? So you have to think about that. false flag, it behooves them to do it. As far as CERN, um, no, not an EMP. Like I said, I don't have enough information. Nobody does. Somebody could have left a satchel of thermite there or something. I don't think a lightning hit it because the lightning would have hit a long time ago. So, and believe me, if a lightning did hit it, it would have been more than that. But I thought it had provisions for lightning. Um, it could have been uh, an energy weapon of some type, Jim. Means um, anything. Could have been a proton beam, could have been laser beam, could have been anything. Anything that would superheat a very small area. That, of course, would expand and cause an explosion, and so it could have been that. Like I said, I don't have any information. Oh, thank you, Rick is here. That's great. Um, I don't like I said. Uh, a lot more blasphemous things are going on than that. Um, a lot more. That's been here for a long time. Um, as CERN, they're definitely trying to open up HE double two spics. Um, have they succeeded in opening up other dimensions and other stuff? I think so, especially with the 14.7, you know, Tetra cave. It's so high, it's ridiculous. Yeah, they open up something. Is something bad going to come through? Sure, I'm sure some bad. I'm sure. I'm sure. You know, I'm sure it's part of the plan too. Can they wipe out the whole Earth? Theoretically, sure. I mean, Russia could wipe out the whole Earth. I mean, they could either launch the weapons against us, wipe out the whole Earth as it is. We don't even have to launch one weapon. The fallout alone will kill them just later. One submarine can cause not enough to wipe out the whole Earth, but definitely enough to cause a nuclear winter. Just one of the 14 submarines that we have. They have seven. So then there's China and North Korea, and yes, Iran. Iran already has the bomb, but they don't have a method to deploy it. That's what they're working on now, and they're working on trying to miniaturize it. It's not as easy as you think. Um, we are um much smaller. There we have several of them throughout. We had one in Chicago. We have another one here on Long Island, and we have one in Texas. But with energy levels that are enough to create antimatter, but not enough to do specific research, but not the kind of energy levels that they're hitting. I mean, what they're doing is there are moments that they activate this thing. They're literally opening up the magnetic field and allowing bad stuff to come in from the sun. So, well, again, God, um, this is what I say about all these things. God showed us that these things are going to happen. The person who told us about it couldn't put them into direct terms, but this is all part of it. And remember, uh, this is a test. It's a test for us as it is for them. And but the Antichrist has to come first. and he's going to have his 3-year thing. And I'm sure that a lot of these things that you and I see are laying the pathwork for this person to be he hailed as a hero, a savior. That's what they want. They want to pull people away from Jesus. That's all I do. Skinwalker Ranch. Um, I only know of the George Lucas technology thing and the backup thing, and that end of it I actually worked on. Um, I know of. I don't know of other things. Am I going to tell you that there's Hollywood cults and bad things that are going on in Hollywood? Sure. And there's a lot of stars that have walked away from that and moved out of that area because of it. Was it always that way? I don't think so, but I'm sure there was always a little niche, but now it's pretty prevalent. Um, well, a lot of people, and you'd be surprised who they are. I'm not going to mention who they are, but um, they're working for good, and there's a lot of people that are working for bad. They I would put to you that in my opinion, they've opened themselves up to demonic possession. My opinion. Like I said last time with good faith, um, I believe that human beings are like a donut and they have a hole. And that hole can either be filled with the jelly or cream of the Holy Spirit in Jesus Christ or a very bad entity. I don't think you can get away from it. You have to make the choice, one or the other. So then you'll find out there's unfortunately very few people make the hard choices. Uh, I know that there are many in the service right now that are making very hard choices. They are being pushed by people above them to do things that they know is wrong, that they know is going to harm people because the person in front of them is really not qualified and not the right person for the job. They do not have the. Let me explain something to you. How many people you think actually have the talent and ability? This is not prejudice. This is a fact. Have the talent, and it's not a disgrace if you don't have the talent and the ability to fly a naval aircraft. Remember, naval aircrafts, they're all experimental. And they're experimental aircraft for a reason because they fly literally on the edge of that envelope because that's what you expect from a military aircraft because there's not that much of a distance between safety and military and above, which means you're in battle. Doesn't matter. See, so um, I don't care if the person, like I said, is whatever and has an arm coming out of their chest or whatever. I don't care. All I care is the best person to be in that seat. That's what I care about. And they still, my son went through flight school. Okay, 95 was fail. If you got a 95, you failed. Out of his class of 1,420 students, only 14 of them were picked for flight. I think 7 or 8 washed out. Only 2 went on to jets. Do you know how many out of that went on to test pilot school? None. There's only been 5,000 some test pilots ever graduated from the Naval Test Pilot School, ever. My son's one of them, but ever. Okay, do you know how many? See what I'm saying? So why you know people just don't have any understanding. I mean, the physical requirements, the mental requirements, the physical requirements, the being great under stress, not panicking when you hit a bird or something like that happens. And it's going to happen. It's going to happen that you're going to lose the person that you're with or flying with in your career. You're going to lose one or more. It's going to happen. You have to handle it. You have to be able to compartmentalize it. You have to be able to go on. Otherwise, it could be your life and others. It's not an easy life. And it's a rare. There's maybe worldwide at any given time 2,000 people who could do this. Maybe. How many are really trained to the level to fly the United States Navy? 1,500 tops. So, and you have no idea how many in their career close moments happen. And the longer their career is in this type of flying, the more of those moments will happen. I mean, just in this movie Maverick, just for those actors to sit in those F-18s, just sitting in the back seat, they had to go through unbelievable training to be able to survive a crash in the water and not drown. A lot of training. Look at it. There's YouTube footage of it. It's pretty, and that is a fraction of what my son had to go through. A fraction. My son had to jump from 100 feet to 150 feet in the air with full uniform and swim a huge distance. How long? 4 miles. That isn't even part of his flight training. That's just being on the ship. Now, picture you're on the ship. All the lights go out. You're sitting in dock. Boom, a bag breaks. Water is rushing in to where then in less than 30 seconds, you're waist deep in it. It's still black. You got to find the leak. You got to put bandages on. You got to shut it down or you die. All Navy personnel and off. My son went through this type of training the first summer he's at the academy. That's not even flight training. So just because you identify and you feel like this and whatever, and you want to be, yeah, I'm gonna fill out a quota. I look good in a post-grad quota. Yeah, that doesn't really work. That's what gets people killed. Because at the end of the day, you want people who know what they're going to do and people who know how to do it. Oh, try. I started 15 minutes early. My Patreon people, I had to give them something for the jump. I'm going to be, I got another, I don't know, 20 minutes. That's it. My shirt, you noticed? Somebody noticed it's inside out. Yeah, I often wear my shirt inside out sometimes when I I don't have a fresh shirt when I'm sweating like I have been sweating. So a lot of times like from this morning I'll just flip it. I'll just put it on the other way. It's so hot here. People have no idea. It's really really hot, and it's going to get hotter at 4 o'clock. That's when that CME is going to hit us, and we're going to see the effects from that in earthquakes throughout the world, and also in increase in temperatures too, as well. One gets you can say anything. I don't. I've been married to a beautiful woman. Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, 40 years. 40 years. Okay. Do I can I dress up and yeah I can I can look presentable and get dressed up stuff. Do I have any shots? Uh, oh, here's the same shirt, right side in. It would mean you realize how many shirts I'd go through in a day if I don't do this. Like I'll be taking this shirt off literally as soon as I finish the show. That's it. Shirts going into the laundry. Okay, Max, you want another bone? There you go, man. Oh, you had your hair up. You're sleeping. Oh, you're all cold. You're sleeping right by the air conditioning vent. You got a lot smart. Oh, there you go. 53. See, Rick, you and I are a minority. Everybody that got married when I got married, they've been divorced, and some of them are remarried. All the people that we knew, anyway. And then they got divorced from that too. Um, yeah. So there you go. You guys will look at Inch today because it's so hot in this room. See, this room gets a lot of sun, and even with the fan and everything else, it's still like 95 degrees in here. And you look at it, just show up in one of my t-shirts. Ay, it's ridiculous in here. Part of the reason I had a socket, but also part of the reason why I had to show early. Anybody want to ask me any questions while I'm here about anything? I won't talk about anything. I don't care. um, because I'm going to talk. If they take me down, climate change or climate change, I'm not a climate change. Climate is changing. There's no question the climate is changing. The question is, are we changing it? Okay. Technically, you ready for this? If we're putting out the kind of pollution that China does, we'd be making the earth actually cooler because there's so much pollution that the sun can't even, yeah, it gets reflected. So yeah, those air pollution and smog in California. See, a lot of people don't understand the way California is. See, LA, for example, sits here, and then there's a big mountain range here. So you have everything sits in a pocket. That's why there's smog. Okay, because of Oh, there's all kinds of things that get emitted with internal combustion engines. Now, am I saying I want internal combustion? No, I'm I'm going to tell you something. Okay, the best internal combustion engine is only maybe 50% efficient. That's a diesel engine. Do I want what about Lake Mead as man? I'll talk about that again. And I'll talk about Salt Lake. Do I want um an internal combustion engine today that runs at 50% efficient? No. No. Okay, I don't. I want something that runs at 100% efficiency that we should have had 35 years ago. Okay, that's what I want. With efficiency, it's not only cheaper, everything falls. 100% efficiency means the only friction and loss you have is between the tire and the road. Wow. Okay. What about Lake Mead? Well, okay. When 1930, when they filled that reservoir up, they were tapping the Colorado River for water. At the time, that water usage was going to go for specific types of agricultural needs and specific types of. Have the agricultural needs changed? Not really. But what changed was um, I would say the 120 million additional people to the area to make outlandish demands on that water. And when I mean outlandish, you cannot have a lawn. You cannot have golf courses. You can't do things like this in a desert. It's a desert. Same thing with the Great Salt Lake. Great Salt Lake is not the Great Salt Lake because it's fresh lake. It's a salt lake, which means it's been drying up for 1,000 years. That's what makes it so salty. Okay. So when you go ahead and you exploit it that way, and you exploit that water, if we manage that water, if we use that water properly, and if cities in California and Texas and Arizona who had connections to the ocean went with lifters and other types of desalination technology, started using desalination water for they as far as I'm concerned, you can desalinate the whole thing and you can use that for that. But the question is that if you look at the amount of waste of water out there, just from Las Vegas alone, it's insane. There's a way to run a car on water. It's true. And the two people that invented cars, my father knew one of them, he worked for Grumman. He was an engineer, and he disappeared. He's gone. My father knew him, and yeah, I saw the engine when I was a kid working. It worked really good. Guy just used distilled water and then put um, 1 tablespoon of baking soda in it. That was it. Thing ran like champ. He disappeared. Yeah, there's people who don't want this to happen. It's just we go back to Tesla and J.P. Morgan. Okay, did J.P. Morgan want Tesla to fully develop and realize his technology? Answer: No. None of these people. I mean, Tesla wanted to give you a literally antenna for your home, antenna on your couch. I mean, antenna on your house, and things, and you'd be driving around. Yeah, well, it's crazy, and there's a lot of HOAs out there with the communities that'll actually fine you if you don't have the perfect lawn. which is just ridiculous. There's basically, oh, okay, Jim Fulmer asking about, so I think I asked. Um, the climate is changing for a reason. As the the s- the the Earth transforms, it's going to go into a next ice age, and when it does this, you're going to see even more droughts. You're going to see even more extremes in weather as the jet stream meanders. The other thing that's changing the weather and the energy of the planet is the magnetic field is flipping. There's areas that are actually already flipped. So anytime there's a CME from the sun, we're getting even more energy from it. It did, but it's worthless because one CME from the sun will wipe it all out. The one thing that Tesla didn't count on was the 1859 Carrington event. He didn't understand that, what that really involved. Okay. That's going to happen. You're going to get hit with that in the next 5 years. That's 100,000 Earths in size. We've seen this year, but we thank God we missed it. But it's going to hit us. It's like you're in a shooting gallery. It's just a matter of time before it comes at us. And when it does, the 2,000 substations that handle huge power throughout this country, they're going to fry. Okay. It doesn't matter if they shut them down, they're going to fry anyway. Okay. You're going to lose half of them. Even if you lost 20% of them, it's too much. It takes 2.5 years to make one of these damn things. And then you got to ship it from Singapore. That's where they make them. They used to make them here. They don't make them here anymore. That's the biggest problem that we have. These companies, like I said, these 8 companies which really control the world, they went to the Bloomberg meetings and all that kind of stuff. The Brandenburg, they were did in Sri Lanka. This whole green agenda is on their thing. Why? It's control. They want energy to become more powerful, more things, because cheap energy is freedom. Now in Sri Lanka, you have no chemical. Well, then you had no gas. Well, then you had no export. Why do they have no gas? They have no gas because they couldn't export food. Why do they have no? Because they weren't using chemical fertilizer. So they have a crop that's dependent on chemical fertilizer. When they stop it, they have no exports for food. They have no exports for money. They can't import oil. They can't import their energy. Well, if they can't put their energy, the whole thing collapses. This is what they want. Now you have all these people who are running out of kerosene or running out of everything else to cook with. They can't cook. They can't cook. They can't eat. You want to see desperate people? Take away that food source and take away the ability to cook food or have power, electricity for weeks and days, and you see what happens. This is what you're seeing. This is why that country fell. They are trying to do that here. That's why these food plants blew up, burned down, everything. They're trying to do the same thing here. Yeah, in a way, the electric companies here have done this. Have have they refined? Have they improved the way your switch works? Have they improved the way you get electricity? Have they increased and have multiple power plants throughout, to which that small little 200 megawatt nuclear plants, which are no bigger than the size of my van, provide power for a whole town and village, and at the same time might be, if they're access to the ocean, desalinating the water or using the waste heat someplace else if there's no water to produce and harvest and make diesel fuel, other types of things, or make fertilizer. Answer: no. Why? Nixon. That goes back to 73. Nixon. This whole thing goes back to Truman's folly. You want to know why we're in the mess we're in now? Go back to Truman, who had again another CIA stooge who knew this failed haberdasher's skeletons in this guy's closet who made decisions such that we were in war in 4.5 years, where we were in a position to take over the entire planet. How many world wars would there be? How many threats would there be? Would we have spent $105 trillion since World War II on destruction and everything else? Would there have been any cost? No, there would have been none of it. And you had every single general, every single admiral, every single expert telling Truman exactly what was going to happen. And has those things happened? Answer: yes. Yep, they happened, and they're happening again. You have now the dollar, and it's starting to unwind, and you're starting to see that unwind. Is it going to be increased? Nope. Are you going to see more than what's going on? We're already in a recession. We are in a recession headed for another Great Depression. What's the difference? Okay, I'll tell you what the difference is. Recession. You know about friends and colleagues of yours that have either been laid off or they're home because they don't want to work and whatever because maybe it's too expensive. It doesn't pay for the fuel I got to spend to do that job. No. How many times I've heard this recently? A depression. They're out of a house. They've been evicted. They have no source of revenue and they have no source of food and shelter. That's the difference. How many families across this country have been eating their savings up for the past months, waiting for? Oh, it's November The November elections are going to save me because I need that. It's going to change. Really? Have we gone with the ATM voting technology? Have we done a foolproof two-party system to which that when you vote on the ATM and you verify what it is, and then it prints out your vote, and you walk across the floor and hand it to a scanner, and those two systems interlock and check so that you know there's no fake and fraudulent voting? Oh, I don't know. Answer: no. Nope. What have they done to talk about that? Nothing. They talk about January 6th. Does anybody want me to do another show? Anybody? Because I got less than 2 minutes. I guess not. Well, Grace Cole says yes. I need at least 3 yeses. I got 2 yeses, 3 yeses. Okay. So I'm going to sign off now, but then I'll be back at, I'll be back in 5. And then, so look for me for my next show. Okay, guys? And yes, I'm going to get rid of the shirt. It's all wet. All right. God bless. Be back.